Uh, well, welcome to
Hello.
hello, welcome to CP podcast number one attempt. And
Yeah, one of many.
yeah, like you said last time that we tried this, the countdown seemed pretty official, so like a little blast off. But hey, let's get right to it. We're gonna take a shot at this thing to be more informative with CP, and you started CP in 2011. You've been coaching since 1999. I've been
Hmm.
coaching since 2011, and yeah, I mean, I don't think we need any major introductions. You're Coach Corsi, I'm Coach Yost, and you've just opened up this 28,000 square foot facility. Let's get right after it. It's been about a
Yeah,
year since you signed the lease. How's it going?
it's it's going good. The 8th of November was exactly 1 year before we signed on the loan, and it was an empty canvas. And so 2 months after that, we were in January, and kind of growing every day. So it's going good. I think the kids are enjoying it. I think the families are enjoying it. Um, it's exciting times, obviously, having such a place to enhance these kids' games. It helps, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone I've talked to, I mean, I've been up there a bunch of times, but like the people that go up there for the first time, like my wife was up there this this weekend for the first time. She said it's immaculate, and she's not even a baseball girl. No, she is through us, but it's just a beautiful facility. I mean, we've been in dozens and dozens of them, and there's nothing like what you have up there.
Yeah, no. Well, you and I both been talking. If we ever had this opportunity, we were going to make sure it was perfect and clean. Really, it just it takes effort. It's when you like yesterday, I vacuumed. You see the little vacuum there, but even that section right there, it doesn't look like a lot, but it took a long time. That's just one tiny section. So we vacuum. We try to pick a couple cages every day, and we're mopping all the time and keeping the bathrooms clean. We just want to be, an inviting place where the families want to come in here and sit and watch their kids get better. So yeah, yeah, yeah. You do the same thing. I know we're both alike with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I know you painted the floor, quite a few times just to get the shoe prints off just from the walkway, and so that's little
Yeah,
details that we notice, but the normal person may not notice the effort behind it. And you go
yes,
in a lot of these facilities, and it's like it's we take pride in what we do because we take pride in the players that we have and the
that's it.
families that we have. And so,
That's it.
but outside of the facility, I mean, how are the teams doing with the facility? I mean, I know they're able to come in there and get some work done, and
I mean, I think it's crazy because you and I started coaching in Jacksonville in '07, and we never coached against teams from Glenn County or Camden County. We never did. They wouldn't come down there and play us, and the fact that it's baseball's gotten a lot better. It's just it's obviously a smaller area. So sometimes I joke about calling it like a second world country in baseball, but it's really just volume. Jacksonville's huge, and my other stomping grounds were Atlanta. Atlanta's just massive. So what's exciting, it probably was the final decision on should we do this facility or not. Can we really get these kids good enough to go compete outside of Brunswick, Georgia? And that's what's fun. We're getting there. We're starting to send teams off, outside the area and playing in bigger events and closing the gap. And as you know, if we don't even have to be the best team at 12, 13, 14, if we're just like right there in the mix, we know what the rest takes care of itself at 17, at 16, 17, and 18. So, but you saw, I mean, you were the head coach of the 16U team. That's our first South Georgia showcase team that we have as an organization in all these years. It's our first one, and we still had a handful of Jacksonville,
yeah, we had
kids.
7 or 8 kids,
Yeah,
so.
and then but the 16s at the moment, the 15s are primary. Most of the teams are primary Georgia kids with a handful. Each team probably has a couple Florida kids on it, but you had a great year. I mean, you guys won a lot of ball games. What was 17-5, and it
In
was,
one,
what was that?
two ties, yeah. There's
Two
27
ties. And,
group is there's a lot of talent on that group, and this 7 or 8 Jacksonville kids, all kind of spread out, which is fun because we like that collective group of being able to have that South Georgia Jacksonville feed. Just because
mm,
if you want to compete, you can't do it in just one area. Like you
yep.
have to have
Yeah.
You have to have a blended model of players, and so that's what helps us, be successful, being able to have players who never met before come together and stick together for a couple of years and win a lot of ball games, get a lot of exposure, get dialogue, and that's the main goal. And last year with the 16s, it's get out there and go play. Let's see what you're made out of before we can
Right.
start networking for these guys. And because if you showcase these guys too early in front of the wrong people, they're going to do
That's
more
right.
damage than they can do good.
Yeah.
And so,
That's right.
like,
Yeah.
we're reaching out to colleges this week about a couple guys, and because it's time, it's time for those guys
It's
to be looked
time.
at, but still, even those guys have room to grow, and that's what helps with the facility is, we can get that extra work that they may not be getting elsewhere. We can, impact their game, on top of what they're already doing. Just, that's
Right.
the whole point of the
Absolutely.
facility.
Absolutely. And I know we had some good signature wins this summer. What did we go, 3-0 or 4-0 versus national number two teams?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
So that was great. And we took the Canes, which have an awesome organization. If you look at the stat line, it looked like we won that game. We had more hits, so we just couldn't get the big hit, and they had one big hit and beat us late. But
base
that's what
running
we
was
do.
great. Yeah.
We always played them tough. I mean, nothing more. We'll talk about that on a separate show, but nothing better
Yeah.
than national championship game where we gave them hell. The summer they went undefeated too.
And that's
So
another reason why we're going to do this podcast is so we can highlight stories from the past, like the picture that posted yesterday of that 2020 group going to the Final Four picture and ended up winning that Florida qualifier. And so, but
yeah,
like I said, we'll be able to get into that because this is not going to be a first time podcast. We hope because we think we have some pretty good banter back and forth, and we'll be able to bring celebrity guests on this thing and
oh yeah, oh
keep
yeah.
going. But before we get into the exciting stuff, let's get into some important stuff. We had the showcase team doing well. What are the plans that we've been talking about switching things up a little bit? We're kind of going back to our original roots of getting these kids, into college because it's such a
Well,
tough game
gosh,
right now.
man. Yeah, I mean, we were on a heater down there, but even if we were still Jacksonville based, we'd be we'd be having the same talk. It's harder than ever to get your foot in the door, collegiately, and we all know why. And we don't need to get into that, but transfer portal is big, and I understand it. But these kids have to be more polished than ever. And there's kids playing it, and we talked about it, man. There's kids that were we had our early that have been early commits,
Mhm.
5 years ago that are
Easy, yeah.
barely getting their foot in the door, so it's times to change. So going back, we're going to start mixing in the mini scout days in between tournaments.
Big tournaments though too.
Yeah, big tournament. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I always thought our schedule was, as good as it could be. But it's just a little bit, especially with the 17U team this summer. It's every tournament we're going to is really good, and it's places where there'll be eyes on us. So between the big events and the mini scout days and the big, getting back to our finale, which was always great. We took 1 year off of the big finale, which was our end of year, showcase where we bring in, 14 to 20 schools to
Hmm.
watch our guys. So that'll be back. So that's it. We got to these kids, they got to do their job and we got to do our jobs. And, together we got to find some homes for them. I mean, the greatest thing even talking to Coach Voro, the greatest thing about all the metrics now, even though they get a little bit crazy, but at least everybody knows what they have to do. They
Yeah.
know what the number is. There's no shot, there's no surprise. So you know what you have to do. And we're talking to our 8, 9, 10s about that. Like, here's our numbers. Like when we did tryouts this year, like we made it metrically driven so they can push them. We'll be testing it because combat's about to start up. So we'll be seeing what the growth was since August tryouts. But it's real. But I think with the schedule and the mini scout days and the end of summer scout day, what a great opportunity, for our kids. And like I was talking about, or our goal was never going to change. We're going to be a small market organization with a national reputation. All the power, we've earned that, right? All the
Yeah.
powerhouses know who we are. We've earned that, and we just
Been
want to
around a
get
long
back.
time too.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I
A
think
lot of
playing
people.
for us, I mean, you know, playing for us, college coaches know what they're getting if they played with CP. because we're not easy on these guys. We coach hard. We love hard, but we coach hard. We ain't. We're not walking around A shells because you got a stud around, and he might not want to be coached hard. We don't have those type of kids. We got kids that want to be coached. They're tough, and they're able. That's why a lot of our kids do well. In college. Everybody's going to have some guys that didn't make it, but we have a lot of kids that were late bloomers and had to play their whole careers with an edge, and they handled adversity properly, and they end up, performing well on big stages. So, um, you know,
And I think that's
hopefully that'll
why we
continue.
coach the way we coach because we're brutally honest with the college coaches because that's why they keep coming back
Yeah.
because if we don't coach the way we do, we can't find out the player like who they really are and
Right.
who they want to be. And so we kind of let those guys, be themselves, be loose environment, but also discipline, respect the game, play it the right way, and we step in and teach when we need to. But other than that, we kind of let these guys, learn who they are, especially at the 16U and 17U. We kind of buckle down, like where you're really going to be, but to
Right.
figure out the kind of player you want to be. You don't need to be pigeonholed into not necessarily a position, but the type of player of like do it this way or my way. No, like the college coaches want to see who you really are, and so that's why we do it the way we do it. And going on 16 years, and for me, and a long time for you. So
Yep. Maybe 27 this spring.
yeah. And so this time of year, it's you just posted your combat throwing program, and you've been doing that since '07, and that's wildly successful. And I've been doing it with you since the beginning too. So kind of go in a little bit about that and how with this facility you're going to be able to impact, even more than what we've already done with combat.
Yeah, I think I even put in the post that
Yeah,
it
you
should
did.
hopefully a record year because we just have more. We have more apparatus. We have more training tools to help kids. Get you know more arm speed, more arm strength, and I just love the. And I'm always loyal to a fault. That ranch in Texas was kind of the first real big thing back in the day. And I remember, and you know the story. I wasn't even going to do it. I thought it was a gimmick. I was still in high school mode, and I'm like, man, this thing. There's no way this thing works. And the guy from Atlanta, a buddy of mine, he's like, give it a chance. Give it a try. So we did a little experiment with like Bo Hilton and Cam Grimsley. So a couple left-handers that were 82, 83 guys. So they were my experiment, and they ended up getting up to 89 after that class. It was insane. So we end up. That's how it started with those two guys, and um, um, 90%. I don't know if Bo had a full ride. I know, but he had a ton of money. 90% to a full ride at Gardner Webb, and
Hmm.
Cam Grimsley had 75% offer to the Citadel. So two D1 guys. And so the only thing I want to do a little bit, get back to, because we're super careful. Like we're careful with arms. So I err on the cautious side, and I think we need to push a little bit. Right now, all of our guys, like we don't have big velo. We got some good arm action kids, but we don't have the velo yet. But the good, healthy arm action guys are the ones that pick up the fastest velocity. I think we're going to push a little bit. We did that one year with the
Yeah,
Perkins,
2023 graduate.
Bond, yeah,
Yeah.
because when they were at 14U, like I'm like, come on, we pushed it and they picked up, and that was a great year. We were 35-7 with 7 for 7 in championship appearances and won 4 of them. So I attribute that season to combat. So it's just helped so many kids get that extra. It's not. I mean, everybody promotes velocity gains, but that's. I'd say the best thing about that class is you feel like $1 million, and your recovery time, your bounce back time, is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And you're built like after that class, you're built to throw 100+ pitches. I mean, no, not many people are doing that, but that program specifically builds you for to be able to throw and finish what you started and bounce back quickly. So now there's a lot of great things. I mean, over the years we've seen it all. Drive line's awesome, and then you got the big time stuff with tread and top velocity and stuff like that. They do they do a great job, and they put a lot of stuff on social media too that helps academies, facilities like us. I get some information from those guys. Plus what
Hmm.
what we got from the combat program. back in '07. So it's a collaboration of what makes sense. And, us being, decent athletes, we're able to do feels still as
Yeah.
coaches. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that felt good. So I picked up some new throwing, drills over the last couple of years. I'm like, ooh, that feels good, So I can't wait. It's going to be just such a different vibe for combat because we're also going to have rotations with, with lifting,
Yeah.
like we've been doing in our, in our practices. So it's just going to be it's gonna be unbelievable. Me getting it organized
Yeah.
is gonna be the toughest thing, because there's so much to do, for it.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that's starting up, and
Well,
uh,
one thing I do want to bring up too about you starting the combat throwing program is that we don't throw year round either. Because when did you shut down arms for like a whole month? I mean, a lot of people say, hey, too much throwing, too much throwing. That's why we're ultra careful. Because what was it, August or September that you shut everybody down
um, for um, um,
throwing?
for throwing. Now we still throw. We just don't play a lot of. We don't play a lot of games. Our pitchers don't
Okay.
pitch a lot. Like everybody played a couple tournaments in the fall. We've never wavered from that. Where in the fall, like in Jacksonville, probably everywhere, but I mean, teams are playing 6 to 8 tournaments in the fall. And
Yeah.
until an orthopedic surgeon tells me, that many tournaments in the fall, and then how many's in the spring and summer. Until somebody tells me that works, I'm not. It doesn't. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it. And I talked to a couple people that were good player development guys at Jacksonville. I'm like, man, you used to not play this much in the fall, and his response was, I still don't want to, but we lose kids. We
Yeah.
lose kids. I mean, that is insane to me. Well, see, we're all. If I was telling somebody the other day, if I had to play more games to make people happy, then I would actually stop coaching. I'd have to find a job, where I can still pay bills and everything, but I would be miserable having to do that. It's not the right way. Every kid now, when that works for like can't miss, where guys are already just they're the chosen one. They have
Polished.
they have
They're already
great
polished.
mechanics. They have polish. How many of our players, if we didn't like coach hard and like force them to try to make these changes, would not have played collegiately? There's a lot of them. And I bet you most of these kids we bring on this podcast will say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if they didn't practice with us as much as they did, they wouldn't have been good enough. And the only thing I've learned about muscle memory is, here's what happens, and we've went through this before. Okay, you got a kid who's in practice, like, ooh, there's some epiphany happening. He's starting to feel some things, and he's like, ooh, all excitement, everybody's smiling because he's almost there. Then you go play too early a tournament, he gets in the box and he looks like he's never been coached before. It happens
Mhm.
every flipping time. So playing a little bit less in the fall and focusing on practicing and player development has always been important to us. And even today today's kind of our last outdoor practice with the 10s, 11s, and 12s. And it's going to be a coach pitch. It's going to be a coach pitch World Series,
Nice.
scrimmage. And, so get the arms rested well before we start combat up and push the limits. And hopefully everybody feels amazing going into 2026.
Yeah. And that's one thing, we take pride in, knock on some wood, is that we haven't had any significant arm injuries on our watch. Like we've had a couple guys, get injured throwing long toss, like Caleb Jones in Baker County we're talking about. But then,
Hmm.
but no one having, damage of throwing too much in a game or, it's, we've always been real, we're not definitely light on throwing, but we definitely allow these guys to get a real good feel on, their, how they're pitching. We're always in their ear trying to see how they're feeling. So we're not going to run a guy out there when it's not necessary. And so that's important to us.
Yeah. Now, the only thing we've been really going through, because we have so many youth kids, is just the growth plate, and that happens everywhere. That thing's
Yeah,
wild. It hurts so bad, and you rest it, it closes, and it's like you're bounce back, ready to roll, just like that. So the growth plate, we can't obviously control that, but yeah, you know,
yeah. I know this is our first podcast, and like we said earlier, we're going to have people on next week and coaches and former players, current players, a lot of highlighted stuff. But this first one's going to be a little bit shorter, just because well, we don't want to bother everyone the first time because it's
yeah,
going to
so
get good. But Before we end, I do want you to kind of tell us about the facility. I mean, what is it? I mean, 28,000 square foot. What you got?
Yeah, no, it's
Tell the world.
I'm sitting in a weight room right now. Hey, Coach Mobley, but just look at that view for the
Hmm.
family to watch that happen. So, and then obviously the
How
back,
many cages? What do you have?
you
How
could
many
have
cages?
19, you could have 19 kids hit at the same time,
Okay.
if you wanted, and we don't ever need that. But if we in complete emergency, you see that. I mean, this wall compliments to you on the flag, brother. Like that is this. This is my favorite part of the facility is actually this wall. So it looks amazing. But I mean, right now what's fun is just like Kyle O'Deese, third rounder. His brother just got named starting. They told me to be starting as a freshman at UCF. All these college kids coming in here right now, and now pro guys. While the young kids, I think you just posted something I sent you.
Yep.
With an LSU commit in Cage One, and then our 9U lefty, Luke West, in Cage Two.
Yeah.
It's that's what I love, and they just these older kids, they're role models, man. Even these good high school players. So we're starting to get. I mean, we got a ways to go, but the ultimate goal is just getting that iron sharpen iron and making a name. In my world, I'm in a new territory, and we still want to go after our Jacksonville kids and
Well,
getting
yeah,
them
I'm in
up there because there's
Jacksonville.
no way those kids. This drive is not even as bad as people think it is. Like oh no, you're no really you're an hour. If you're in Yulee or by the airport, you're less than an hour away. But it's an easy drive up the interstate, and I mean, even if a Florida kid just came up on the weekends. To
Hmm.
get a workout in. I mean, there's just so much that you could get accomplished, in a day. So, the facility is exciting, and I'm just getting my we've been going so hard because we were working 95 to 104 hours in those 2 months a week just to get in. Nobody thought we were going to get in 2 months, and we did it. So now it's just, I think, getting it super organized. There's room for improvement, with that, but we're starting to feel like the Hit Tracks League is about to start. We've never done that yet. We haven't had time to do it. So we're going to try our first annual, winter Hit Tracks League right after Thanksgiving and play an 8 game season with a postseason. Really celebrate it. Treat it like a tournament with MVPs, prizes, awards.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a blast. So
Little Caesars player of the game.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's
Well, what you mentioned a minute ago about the Jacksonville, I said I'm in Jacksonville. We got three boys in that house right there, going to be
that's
CP
right.
players soon. So
That's
we
right.
got former players rolling CP teams. So yeah, it's going to be a little team right here.
Yeah, that's
So
right. Hopefully we can. Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. It'll be so wild. Your wife told me, your next birthday's 40, and we talked about that earlier. I've never come within 5 years of your birthday. I'm always so off, and obviously I'll be 51 here in December. But time's
that might be
flying. But
the aloe lotion that I use.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I need some. I need some of that. So, but
Over
yeah,
the
man.
counter.
I mean,
Yeah.
this will be like I said. This is just our first one, and
Yeah.
we'll have these. Everyone will have something with some real. This is just me and you BSing right now. So,
Yeah. Just kind of
um,
getting a feel,
got to start
and we know
somewhere.
the first couple people will be CP, and who knows, someone from Illinois might listen up. Just
That's
never
right.
know.
That's right. So.
Big lefty donkey from Illinois come down to pitch.
That's it. Like fresh,
So,
fresh, fresh arms in the Midwest.
oh yeah. So well, hey, we'll see you guys in a couple days. We'll get this out and we'll talk soon. And
All right,
CP
brother.
podcast number one.
All right, man.
All right, man. Good luck today.
Talk to you later.
Bye.